What if everything you thought you knew about the royal future just flipped overnight? Not from politics, not from scandal in the usual sense, but from two people turning royal life into something that feels more like a non-stop show. Huh? That's exactly where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle find themselves now, and people can't stop watching.
The Australia tour was all about selling, and yes, I did say the word selling, merching is not strong enough, the children. So-called Prince Archie, so-called Princess Lily. Now the Sussexes are openly defying Queen Elizabeth II by selling products named and based on.
This is the same couple who once demanded privacy, asking everyone to back off. Yet somehow, their story keeps playing out on camera, in interviews, in perfectly timed moments that feel anything but sleuthy.
Disgusting placement, and to monetize her children in such a way is deplorable, especially after proclaiming so often the dangers of social media for children.
So what changed? Why does their private life keep becoming public headlines again and again?
Harry and Meghan, if they want to be successful, and to a certain extent the palace did want them to be successful in Hollywood, is that they need to stop with this cosplay royal routine and actually get and focus on their real jobs. But they're not doing that. And I think Australians are wise to them. We've had 10 years now of BS, of lies, of hypocrisy from this couple. And
then things get even stranger. When it comes to the most talked about topic, their children, the details suddenly get blurry. No clear answers, just controlled appearances, polished smiles, and moments that leave people asking more questions than before.
Good business, it should be just based around you having good ideas, creating good products. Meghan Markle does not have any ideas. She is not good at business.
From the outside, it almost feels like every time clarity is close, the story shifts direction. Why? Meghan stepped into royal life like she was born for the spotlight, while Harry walked away from everything he knew, tradition, duty, the crown, for a completely new life in California. That move alone split opinions hard.
Can't create good products. And so she constantly has to mind her royal connections to try to make something work, and she's getting diminishing returns for it. And I think this latest collaboration, not only is it offensive, she's launching it the day after Queen Elizabeth's birthday and during this whole birthday week, but the whole thing is just absolutely.
Independence or escape from responsibility? Since then, their entire image has been built on storytelling, challenging the system, speaking out, shaping their narrative. But critics aren't letting it slide.
Because you actually were the official biographer of Prince Harry. You got to know the guy. You interviewed him. He chose you, really, to be the journalist who he became closest to. So you have a particularly fascinating insight into what's gone on.
They're asking, how do you reject the system while still benefiting from it? Now the pressure's rising even more. Royal commentator Angela Levin has thrown fresh claims into the mix, especially about Archie and Lilibet. And even without proof, it's got everyone talking again.
We knew has been destroyed by himself and by Meghan. And if he comes over and does any sort of give him a job to do, well, it's an absurd thing to say, because he will, demand money for it. Meghan will demand money for it.
And when legal action gets mentioned so fast, is that confidence or pressure building? Because when answers don't come and silence takes over, it doesn't calm things down. It makes everything louder.
It's because Meghan knows Confessions of a Female Founder is a massive flop, so she's trying to fill the space with everything else possible so that people are not talking about the fact that her podcast has fallen out of the top 100. It's mortifying.
So now the question is, what are we really not being told? The moment everyone expected noise, they got silence instead. And somehow that made things louder.
But so what we got was Lily's voice. And there's been a lot of people, including Angela, raising questions about this very odd-sounding voice. Now, when I was watching the Jamie Kern-Lima interview, was struck by Meghan's use of a word. Watch this.
Their anniversary came up, and people were waiting. Something polished, something public, something that fits their usual pattern. But nothing came. No statement, no images, no moment to hold on to. Just quiet. That kind of silence stands out, especially when visibility has always been part of the strategy. So naturally, people started asking questions. Is this a shift, or is something behind the scenes not as controlled as before?
I love when things look beautiful. And even when you don't have a lot, you're able to make things look
beautiful. You know, she's always talking about beautiful in a particular way. And guess who else on Sunday was saying beautiful?
But
What do we think, Lily?
I think it's beautiful.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery.
Because when a couple known for managing their image suddenly pulls back, attention doesn't fade, it sharpens. Every move gets watched closer. Every gap gets filled with speculation. At the same time, their presence feels different now. The same pair that once dominated headlines doesn't hit the same way.
herself or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. They have to have royal blood, those little ones. Without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the royal family.
Meghan, once seen as reshaping the royal image, stayed completely quiet. Harry feels less like the confident figure people knew, more reflective, like someone dealing with a decision that didn't fully land. And that absence, it opened the door.
In this case about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince Archie.
Angela Levin stepped in with direct commentary. No soft tone, no hesitation. She raised questions that had been sitting in the background, especially around Archie and Lilibet. Not claims, just pressure points, but enough to shift attention instantly. Now people aren't just reacting to what's said, they're reacting to what hasn't been addressed.
She is so odious, it's beyond.
Looking back, connecting details, asking why certain moments weren't as visible as expected. So why is everything coming back into focus now? It didn't start with accusations. It started with curiosity.
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
Meghan is using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family and friends.
And that's what made it spread so fast. Angela Levin didn't sound aggressive. She sounded direct, like she was saying what others were already thinking but hadn't said out loud. And once those questions surfaced, they didn't disappear. They grew. Now the focus has shifted away from public projects and back onto personal details, the kind that usually stay private, unless something pulls them into the spotlight. And right now, perception matters more than proof. Because when answers aren't clear, people start filling in the gaps themselves. That's exactly what's happening. The carefully managed image now feels like it's being examined from every angle. Silence hasn't helped. In fact, it's done the opposite. What could have stayed small turned into something much bigger, simply because nothing direct came out to settle it. Then Harry's response added another layer.
Buckingham Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself.
Instead of shutting things down with clarity, the focus moved toward legal pushback and visible frustration. And that reaction didn't calm anything. It raised more questions. Strong reactions don't always signal confidence. Sometimes they make people wonder why the response feels so intense in the first place. And Meghan, still quiet through all of it. That silence hasn't reduced attention. It's amplified it.
So now the same question keeps coming back. If it's simple, why not just clear it up? When reactions get stronger but answers don't come, the conversation doesn't stop, it expands. Every response added another layer, another angle for people to analyze. And then a new idea entered the discussion. 3 letters that started showing up everywhere. DNA. Not confirmed, not officially requested.
It won't go back before she got married, but the way she's treated the royal family, the way she's actually not allowed her children to meet their family, and you can go on and on for what she said, all the lies she said. So she's not someone who can complain about ethical behavior.
But constantly mentioned as a way to bring instant clarity. Just talk for now, but the fact that it hasn't been addressed at all stands out. Because in a time where transparency is expected, saying nothing can feel louder than saying something. Attention also shifted toward Lilibet. Her name once symbolized respect and continuity, tied closely to Queen Elizabeth. Now it's part of a wider debate, not about facts, but about perception changing in real time. Some defend the couple strongly, others question more than ever. The divide is growing, and at the center of it is one idea: clarity. In a system built on lineage, even small gaps create space for doubt, and right now, that space is wide open. Harry's reactions didn't ease the pressure. If anything, they made things feel more intense. From the outside, it looks like someone under pressure, avoiding the one step people believe could settle everything quickly.
I don't believe that that's her voice, on the grounds that every photograph we've seen of the alleged children, their hair color changes, their height and body type changes, their face changes. So this is just, some random voice. All we saw was some little hand that seemed so small, it didn't seem like it belonged to a 3-year-old. So much was inconsistent about this that, I just think it's a kind of a turnoff. I'm not buying.
One direct answer could shift the entire narrative, but instead, the focus stays on privacy and pushing back. And Meghan's continued silence, it's being read in completely different ways. Control to some, distance to others. So now everything circles back to one thing. What's stopping a clear answer? Royal tradition has always been predictable, and that's exactly why this stands out. For generations, major moments like births were shared openly. It wasn't just about announcement, it was about reassurance. When Kate Middleton appeared after her children were born, it followed a pattern people understood. But this time, the approach felt different. With Meghan, everything seemed more controlled. Fewer details, carefully selected images, less visibility overall. Not wrong, but different enough to catch attention. People started noticing the small things: timing, angles, missing updates. Individually, they don't prove anything, but together they create questions. And once that shift happens, speculation follows. The contrast made it louder. Meghan has spoken about openness, Harry about challenging narratives, but now some feel the situation shows more caution than clarity. In a world where every detail gets analyzed instantly, gaps don't stay quiet for long. And when tradition is built on transparency, even small changes can feel bigger than they are. So why does this one feel so different?
The story didn't explode. It slowly tightened until people couldn't ignore it anymore. What started as small questions has turned into something much bigger.
But I thought tonight this was really ridiculous.
Not just about Harry and Meghan, but about how quickly public perception can shift when clarity is missing. The attention hasn't faded, it's grown. And now the Sussex name feels tied to a much wider conversation. Meghan once represented change, a modern voice in a traditional system. Now that image is being questioned, not with proof, but with growing curiosity around her silence. Some see control, others see avoidance. Either way, it keeps people watching. Harry's position feels just as complicated. Once seen as steady and relatable, his recent reactions have divided opinion. Support is still there, but so are doubts. The frustration, the legal responses, they don't always come across as calm control.
And blame the media for the crashes of his relationship.
And that's where everything shifts. Because when transparency feels limited, speculation increases. What started as curiosity now touches something deeper: the credibility of an institution built on clarity and continuity. Angela Levin's comments raised the stakes further. She suggested that if things ever moved into a legal setting, everything would change. No narratives, no media framing, just facts and proof. Nothing has reached that point, but even the idea of it has changed how people see the situation. At the same time, public perception is evolving. Opportunities feel slower, more cautious, not gone, but different. And in a space where image matters, that shift carries weight. This is no longer just a private matter. It connects to trust, tradition, and expectation. And when those feel uncertain, even slightly, the impact spreads far beyond one story. Meghan's silence and Harry's responses have created a cycle. Questions, reactions, more questions. And instead of closing the gap, it keeps attention locked in place. Now people aren't just watching what's happening, they're watching what could happen next. Because one question refuses to go away. If everything is clear, why not prove it? And this story, it's far from over. More details could drop at any moment. And when they do, everything might shift again. If you want to stay ahead of it, make sure you're subscribed, because the next update could change everything. And don't stop here. Check out the next video popping up on your screen right now.